Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at Wikipedia, the Supreme Court has long considered political and ideological speech to be at the core of the First Amendment, including speech concerning, quote, politics, nationalism, religion, and other matters of opinion. Actually, sorry, that's the Federation of American Scientists. But you can look. U.S. courts, what does free speech mean? Among our cherished values, the First Amendment protects freedom of speech. The U.S. Supreme Court has struggled to determine what exactly constitutes protected speech. The following are examples of speech, both direct words and symbolic actions the court has decided are either entitled to First Amendment protections or not. Freedom of speech includes the right not to speak, to use certain offensive words and phrases to convey political messages, to contribute money, to engage in symbolic speech. Now, of course, it does not include compelling criminal activity. Okay, so a specific call or demand, or I should say, if somebody communicates a criminal act, that others should commit a criminal act, which Trump did not do. Okay. You have all of these, this is uscourts.gov, all of these West Virginia Board of Education versus Barnett, of course, Cohen versus California, Buckley versus Vallejo. Okay, so these are all the Supreme Court rulings that protect freedom of speech. The Supreme Court has already protected Trump's January speech. You can look at the fact that he did not, in any way, shape, or form, state that anyone should commit a criminal act. What Democrats and media do is they say, well, you know what? He meant that. That is a subjective, opinionated viewpoint. He did not mean... I mean, why would he... He had a viewpoint of what took place similar to the way Democrats viewed 2016, okay? Of course, that is blasphemy and heresy, and to media and Democrats, what they do is they infuse their sensibilities whenever they feel a specific a topic is off limits, but then when it suits them, they engage in the same type of behavior they claim to despise. So in 2016, oh my God, another country installed Trump. 4 years later, how dare you critique the sanctity of our republic and democracy? So within the January speech that the special counsel, Jack Smith, is now investigating, along with the classified data nonsense, which wasn't even a crime, they're trying desperately to get Trump. All of these indictments, they could indict him for obstruction, which he didn't obstruct anything. He has a right to go through his attorneys and fight or, state his viewpoint with government officials. But they can indict him for obstruction. They can indict him for January, which would not be, because if you look at the entire speech, he said peaceful and patriotic. So you have all of these... The First Amendment has the Supreme Court has had more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 landmark cases on free speech and political speech. Any indictment regarding January would be overturned by the Supreme Court because he did not, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation already through public reports stated that he was not implicated in any type of criminal behavior, Trump. Okay, so he did not compel, incite, motivate, encourage criminal acts, not ever, and certainly not that day. What took place was, unfortunately, there were people who committed crimes. It was a terrible day. But perhaps they looked at that summer and said, well, there's $1 to $2 billion in property damage, 14,000 arrests. Yes, I'm not equating the underlying reasons, but I agree with why people protested peacefully that summer, but what took place was you had an entire summer of chaos and mayhem with CNN journalists saying, well, this fire, you've been mostly peaceful, with a building in flames behind the journalist. And you couldn't even make this up. That's why 70% of Americans don't trust media. It's like this Orwellian world we live in. You have a CNN journalist in front of a building, set ablaze behind him, saying fiery but mostly peaceful, and then January they focus on that one day. Kinzinger's crying, but Kinzinger and Cheney never said anything about the entire summer. It didn't suit them politically. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. I will have a live stream tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Be here for the live stream at 9 p.m. Pacific time on this channel. The link will eventually be below in the description, in the pinned comment, and also the description. But be here for the live stream. Go to hagoodman.com to read my writing in The Hill, the Huffington Post Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Federalist, and other publications. Become part of a newsletter by going to contactgoodman88@gmail.com if you want to be part of a newsletter. And my Patreon, ladies and gentlemen, is below, and the super thanks is below next to the like and the share buttons. Okay. Also, in Georgia, if they indict him in Georgia, which they probably want to do, he did not say fined illegally. He said fined, meaning in his mind, in his viewpoint, it was completely chaotic, careless, negligent, sloppy state of affairs. We'll leave it at that, according to Trump's viewpoint in that state. Okay, you can say, well, it's been proven that that's not the case. That, again, you're talking about a subjective viewpoint that Trump is allowed to have. It's his opinion and it's his viewpoint. And if he's telling a government official, hey, you know what, legally find, a certain amount so we can take this red state because we're Republicans, he's within that right to do so. Alan Dershowitz talked about Bush v. Gore and how Democrats were saying, yeah, find, X amount of, people to get us on top in Florida in 2000, okay? So they're going to try to get him on that. I'll do a segment on that also. Not only did he not tell anyone to commit a crime, which is a really stupid leap of logic, he didn't tell anyone to commit a crime in January. He didn't commit a crime by saying find whatever in Georgia, that year. He also didn't obstruct justice because he has every single right through his attorneys. Do you think, it's so funny when they accuse Trump of obstructing justice, which they might actually indict him on. Even William Barr has been defending Trump, but then also turns on Trump all the time. And he said, oh, yeah, they might indict him on that. They're probably going to. And the thing is, it's the really absurd response is, well, Biden was complied. He complied. Well, Biden actually has classified data, according to Ted Cruz, being summarized by Hunter to facilitate business transactions and deals. Okay, to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars, which is a huge national security risk and major felony, according to Ted Cruz. And according to Ted Cruz and others, there were government officials that day. Actually, there have been public record knowledge of public officials of that day. Okay, the day that they want to claim that Trump compelled people to commit criminal acts. But the Supreme Court, ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing these segments just so people understand, the Supreme Court will overturn any indictment of Trump. Even this alleged hush money issue, because there's no evidence. There was a Supreme Court ruling that overturned a Virginia governor's corruption conviction in 2016 that I've talked about. And the reason was because there was no direct evidence. There's no direct evidence that if there's no recording, if there's no email, if there's no direct communication between Trump and Michael Cohen stating, pay Stormy so I can defeat Clinton, they're not going to indict Trump. Furthermore, he was the one extorted, and it's not even an FEC violation. They didn't even view this to be an FEC crime. It was not an FEC crime. Okay? On the other hand, it was Clinton and the DNC that were fined by the FEC. So, anyway, hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. There's Supreme Court precedent. We can go on. I mean, the important part of this type of video is to let people know that there are Supreme Court precedents and rulings defending Trump. They're not going to be able to get him on any indictment pertaining to January, even if the special counsel indicts, because of these Supreme Court rulings. Give me your thoughts below. And the Supreme Court would overturn any indictment. Be here tonight for the live stream, 9 p.m., ladies and gentlemen. Tell your friends, 9 p.m. Thank you. 9 p.m. Pacific. Thanks so much.